Thanks for joining us once again this morning. We are already on the 19th day, almost there. Of course, almost there only in terms of the discussion and the facilitation of all of our thoughts. Transformation is, of course, a very long journey, and we have to continue on through the new year in terms of making that transformation for us. A quick recapitulation of what we discussed yesterday. We heard yesterday about how the greatest enemy for our progress in terms of dealing with our bad habits is excuses and playing the blame game, passing the responsibility for our bad habits, what the wrong that we do on situations, on people, on things around us. And the greatest catalyst to our progress is taking responsibility, taking that onus on us, and working on our lives in a way that we can actually transform our bad habits and cultivate good ones. To this effect, we heard in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains to us the several dimensions of existence. On the lowest level being our physical dimension, which is our body and our senses. It's not the eyes or the senses that are responsible for our doing wrong. It's not the objects, yesterday's example, the chocolate cake. It's not the things responsible. It's not our senses responsible for what the wrong we do. Beyond the body, beyond the physical dimension we heard yesterday, is the mind. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhye param manaha, the manas or the mind. And whenever a sense object comes in contact with the senses, a chocolate cake comes in contact with the tongue, a person comes in contact with the eyes, there's an experience that the mind has. And the mind is a storehouse of those experiences. That experience can be an experience of pleasure when they come in contact with each other, the sense and the sense object, or it could be an experience of relief from pain that we are going through. And that experience of pleasure or relief from pain makes us do that thing again and again and again. But the mind is like a child. The mind will not discriminate whether what it's doing to get pleasure or relief from pain is good or bad. Even if it's bad, the mind's going to do it and push us to do it, because all it wants is pleasure or relief from pain. Therefore we come to the 3rd dimension. Manasastu para buddhehe. Beyond the manas of the mind is the intelligence or the buddhi. We heard yesterday the 2 dimensions of buddhi. One, the sankalan shakti or grasping, and second, the viveka shakti or discrimination and discerning good from bad. And therefore, we heard yesterday the dialogue, the conflict between the mind and the intelligence, and how we need to strengthen our intelligence, enhance the discriminatory power of our intelligence so that it can shut the mind up. We can do that by reading, hearing, hanging out with people who have the right kind of understanding of the right, and we strengthen our vivek and thereby deal with the mind. The worst is when the intelligence and the mind are in a conspiracy with each other. When both of them join hands, then the senses have nothing to do. They just follow suit and we end up doing wrong. What do we do in a situation like that? What do we do in a situation when the intelligence joins hands with the mind to do wrong? This is what we'll probably discuss today on our 19th day as a reflection. Neha, good morning to you. Kapil, thank you for joining us this morning. Bharti, we are very, very happy to have you. Estefania, thank you for joining us. Srinivas, good morning. Alexandria, very happy to have you and a very good morning to you. Varun, Hare Krishna. Varsha, good morning. Shambhu, thank you for being with us this morning for our Facebook Live session. Naveen Kumar, I'm really happy that you've joined us. Valerian, thank you for being with us again. Roma, very happy to have you. Sunil, good morning to you. Govind, all the way from Mauritius, thank you for joining us once again this morning. Rahul, very, very happy that you've joined us. Meenakshi, thank you for coming online. I don't know what the name is. It's in Kannada written there. I can't know what the name is. So thank you for joining us. Sai Charan, thank you for being with us. And Deepika, very happy to have you as well. Kumar, thank you for joining us. Now, Lord Krishna brings the 4th dimension of existence into picture now in this verse. Beyond the mind, beyond the body and the senses, beyond the mind and beyond the intelligence, Lord Krishna now brings the 4th dimension. What is that 4th dimension? That 4th dimension is you. It's you who use your body and your senses to navigate through this world. It's you who use your mind to feel and experience when those sense objects and the senses come in contact with each other. It's you who through your intelligence think, grasp, discriminate, discern. It's you who actually use this mind, this intelligence, this body, these senses simply as tools to live in this world, to interact in this world. And therefore, since you're using it only as a tool, you simply use your body and your senses to navigate in this world. You use your body, so you're not the body. You use your mind to feel, so you're not the mind. You use your intelligence to think and grasp, so you're not the intelligence. So if you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the intelligence, and you're only using it as a tool to live in this world, to experience pleasure or relief in this world, then who are you? Who are you? And therefore, Lord Krishna brings in this fourth dimension. Who is it who sees through the eyes, smells through the nose? Who is it that tastes through the tongue? Who is it that hears through the ears? Who is it that feels through the skin? Who is it that feels and experiences in the mind? Who is it that thinks through your intelligence? That fourth dimension, that you, is the spark within your being, which actually gives life to your being, which animates the inanimate body and moves around in this world. That you, in Sanskrit, is called Atma, in English, the soul, and in most common language, the spirit. When we talk about the spirit can refer to three different aspects. In English, spirit can refer to your mood, like you say, he was in a spirit of joy, or they're in a spirit of cooperation. So this spirit doesn't refer to that spirit, of course. The spirit can also mean what people indulge in on the New Year's Eve. Don't they indulge a lot and then they say they are in real high spirits, Of course, the spirit doesn't refer to that spirit. That you, that spirit, that spark within refers to that non-material being beyond the body, beyond the senses, beyond the mind, beyond the intelligence, which is all material, that non-material spark of life. That is what the spirit refers to, and from that word spirit comes the word spiritual. A lot of people don't even know when they talk about spirit. They talk so much about spiritual, but they don't even know that that word spiritual comes from the very base or very basic nature. Your nature, your spirit, yourself. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, when we connect very deeply to our own self, we get we are tapping into tremendous power, we are tapping into tremendous ability, we are tapping into a tremendous capacity, your willpower as you call it. Your willpower is the power of your soul, the power of your spirit. When we tap into that Shakti, when we tap into that energy, when we tap into that capacity, when we tap into that power, to deal with the mind, to deal with those crazy senses, and even to deal with that intelligence which has joined hands. In Hindi they call it Mili Bhagat, when join hands with the mind to do wrong. We are able to do it. Therefore, yes, along with all what we discussed in the last 18 days, we have to look at dealing with our bad habits based on connecting to our very true self as well. Socrates, when he was caught and imprisoned, he said, "Catch me if you can." They'd already caught him. They already caught him. They brought him into the prison. "Catch me if you can. You catch my body. You can probably affect my mind and my intelligence. You can't catch me, the spirit, which is beyond all of these." And therefore, the art of connecting to yourself is called self-realization. But today we are so busy taking selfies that we've forgotten the self. We're so busy in the selfie realization that we've forgotten self-realization, So yes. One of the aspects I feel very strongly is we have to go deeper within ourselves, connecting to our true selves, and you'll see how empowered you feel to deal with that crazy mind, to deal with that corrupt intelligence which has joined hands with the mind to do the wrong. But you know something? Most of you thinking, and even I say that many times, that we experience, that we know all of this. We've heard it, we've read it. Within our very deep core, we believe in it. We know what's right. Most times we know what's right. And we can discern right from the wrong. But we feel overwhelmingly helpless. I don't want to do that wrong. I don't know why I'm being pushed. That mind has become so strong by feeding it for so long, so many lives probably, it just becomes so strong, so stubborn, that I just feel helpless. Even if I'm the soul and the spirit and I know it all, I just feel overwhelmingly helpless. I know I want to do it right, but I don't know why I can't. And therefore, we have to see how to deal with that in that helpless situation. Neha, thank you about that. Exactly, we're busy in taking a selfie, she says. Narayan, Hare Krishna. Radha Madhav, Bhaskarji, Hare Krishna, good morning. Sandhya, thank you for joining us. Athanu, you're asking how to focus in life and peace, Guruji. We're going to be talking about that. Ashok, Uma, good morning. Anna, all the way from Guyana, thank you for joining us. Sanya, yes, you have a question how to deal when we have decided not to wrong, but again we do wrong. That's exactly the question. $1 million question. Prasunjit, Satyaprakashji, thank you. Jai Jagannath. Estenia, thank you for that comment. Ashish, good morning. Venkatesh, namaste. Ritika, good morning again. Prince, good morning from Assam. Hare Krishna. Hema from Dubai, thank you for joining us. Vedatrey, pranam. Preeti, yeah, mine must not be stubborn, but it is. Maria, very happy to have you all the way from Moscow. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. Nidhi, all the way from Calgary. Kat from America. Bharti, thank you for joining us. And I know you're all waiting to hear how do we deal with it. We know what is wrong, what is right. We want to do what is right. We are the soul, the spirit, and we have the Shakti to do it right. But that wretched mind has taken over and is constantly just distracting us. What are we going to do? Here's my take on it, based on the message that Lord Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. Imagine you are in Mumbai, India, and imagine it's about 12:30 in the night, early morning, for night, whatever, and you're standing at the gateway of India. And you now want to go from the gateway of India to the international airport in Mumbai to take your flight to wherever you're heading to. Now you decide to take a cab, a taxi. You call the taxi driver, you sit into the back of the taxi and tell the taxi driver, I want to go to the international terminal, international airport in Mumbai, terminal 2, T2. Now the taxi driver knows the route. He's from Mumbai. You've been living in Mumbai, or you've been to Mumbai many times, so you know the route. You also have your Google Maps to check whether it's going on the right route. The guy has a satellite navigation system. He has his Google Maps on, so he knows how to go on the right route. And the taxi takes off, the cab takes off. You're sitting in the back, he's driving. And suddenly you realize that that guy is not going in the right direction. He probably enters into a lane, a very creepy lane, when you know that something's wrong there. You know that this guy's a little dodgy. You know that it's not going in the right direction. You check on your Google Maps and you know for sure that it's taking you into literally a creepy, scary place. And then suddenly you realize, God, there's something not right here. You say to the driver, Bhai sahab, kahan leke ja rahe? Where are you taking me? And the driver just yells at you, shut up! You say, my God, sir, I'm just asking you that I need to go to the airport. Why are you taking me in this direction? You realize that the taxi driver is such a massive Hulk. He turns behind, one hand on the steering, he turns behind with his other hand, he holds you by the neck, grabs you by the neck. My God, you just told him that you're going in the wrong direction, you should go in the right direction. You're scared to death, knowing that things are going in a very, very different direction here. You know it's a threat to your life, you know that something very bad can happen here. You're helpless, you're overwhelmed. What do? All you can do is ask for help. Whose help are you going to take? There's nobody around. In the cab as you're going, the driver is the goon, and you're sitting there and there's nobody around outside on the road. It's late in the night. Suddenly, you realize that you hadn't taken note for so long as the taxi was being driven, that right next to you at the back, where you're sitting, is another gentleman sitting. He doesn't look as powerful. Externally, he doesn't look as strong, as Herculean, as hulky as the taxi driver. You know that there's nobody else to turn to, so you turn to this gentleman who's sitting right next to you and you say, "Sir, please help me. I don't know what this taxi driver is up to." As soon as you turn to this person, you know what this person does? He's a good person. So he holds the neck, grabs the neck of the taxi driver, and just by the grasp, because the taxi driver can feel the strength that this man has, and the person at the back tells the taxi driver, "Come on, come out of this creepy lane, come out of this lane, and go on this route straight to the airport." The taxi driver realizes, just by the way this man held his neck so strongly, that this guy is even more powerful than me. Although I seem to look powerful, he's way too more powerful. And knowing that this guy can really take this driver to a task, the driver brings the taxi, the cab, on the main route and takes you to the airport. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what is happening with our lives. Our body, our physical being, is like that car. And we, the spirit, the soul, the Atma, is right there sitting as a passenger in the car. And we want to go in the right direction. We want to do it right. We even know what is right, deep there within. But then the driver of this car is the mind. So powerful, you've fed it for so long, it's become so powerful that you, from deep within, you tell the mind, "Do this, this is the right thing to do." And the mind says, "Shut up." You tell the mind, "Come on, cooperate with me. I want to transform. It's not just about this 21 days habit challenge. I want to transform in the year 2018, 2019 and all my life and live a great life." The mind slaps us. And we, that helpless self, have given complete control by listening to the mind for so long. And the mind, instead of taking us in the right direction that we asked it to, takes us into some creepy area to do something wrong. And ladies and gentlemen, we just sit there helplessly feeling guilty. "I shouldn't have done it. I wanted to do right. Oh, what can I do? My mind doesn't listen to me. I'm just helpless. The car of my body, the car of my life is being driven into that wrong direction. What am I going to do?" Who am I going to turn to? What's beautiful is right next to the soul, the spirit, the Atma, is another person sitting whom we can turn to in such a time of dire need. In fact, regularly at all times. Right next to the soul is sitting the super soul. Right next to the spirit in this car, the body, is sitting the supreme spirit. Right next to the Atma in this body is sitting the Paramatma, God. We need to turn to that Paramatma, to that super soul, to that supreme spirit for help, because we see ourselves and we get so helplessly overwhelmed in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, even if you just practice self-realization, we get overwhelmed because the mind is so powerful. We have to practice God realization by turning towards that Supreme Spirit, towards that Paramatma. The path of spirituality is the path of the Atma turning towards the Paramatma. The path of spirituality is the path of the Spirit connecting to the Supreme Spirit. The path of spirituality is the path of the soul connecting to the Super Soul. And as we make that connect, when help comes from that personality, God, we cannot imagine how effectively, how successfully we'll be able to deal with these negative challenges that we go through in our lives. This is why I always say, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big God is. Tell your mind how big my co-passenger is. Tell your issues how big my co-passenger is. And if I connect to that co-passenger right within, that personality can truly help me in dealing with a lot of these things in our lives. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is very crucial and important that in our habit challenge, not just the 21 days, but our life challenge, habit challenge, and negativity challenges that we are going to deal with, it is very crucial, therefore, that we turn to God. We turn to the Supreme Lord. Thus they say, don't they say, God helps them, those who help themselves? So the 18 days of our discussion has been helping ourselves, our habits, setting those micro targets, writing the habit journal, being positive, making sure our company is right, making sure we stay away from those temptations, making sure of all those external details, writing our plan, planning it all. That's our habit, our plan and our effort to deal with that habit. But simply effort won't get us there. We need grace and help as well. And when does grace and help come? When we actually do our role properly, then God does His role properly as well. Therefore they say God helps them, those who help themselves. And how do we make that spiritual connect with God? We can do it in so many different ways. In different faiths of the world, in different parts of the world, people do it in so many different ways. Meditation is a very powerful way for the soul to connect to the super soul. Prayer is a very small, powerful way for the soul to connect to the super soul. Chanting, mantra meditation is a very powerful way for the soul to connect to the super soul. For the last 22 years, every single day of my 22 years, in the last 22 years, I've been practicing mantra meditation, chanting of the holy names of God. In particular, I chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which I've experienced is so powerful, not just in helping me deal with my crazy mind, but also giving me deep fulfillment to myself, because when the self is connected to the super self, there is such an experience of deep joy and fulfillment. Therefore, the reflection for day 19 is self-realization and God realization. Self-realization means beyond the mind, beyond the body, beyond the intelligence, connecting to our true self and tapping into the power of ourself. And when we find that even that is so, he is so helplessly overwhelmed, in the example of the cab driver and the mind's taken over, we turn to the super self, the super soul, God, Paramatma, and make that deep bonding and connect. My humble appeal to all of you is find your calling, find your path, find that spiritual journey for yourselves, and on a regular basis, daily basis, give a priority to your spiritual practice, your sadhana, in making that connection. And when you make that connection, you will see how empowered you feel to shut that mind up, to shut the conspiracy of the intelligence and minds. And then the senses are just tools. When the mind, intelligence and senses all follow what we have to say, because you've got that Shakti from our connection, spiritual connection, life will truly move in its right direction. Bharati, thank you for commenting that, summarizing self-realization and God realization. Rima, thank you. Yuvraj, thanks a lot again for joining us. Trupti, we're very happy to have you with us. Sanya, very, very happy to have you. Neha, thank you very much. Meenakshi, very, very glad that you've joined us this morning. Milan, thank you. In fact, on a Sunday morning to get 1,100, 1,200 people online, God, yesterday we had lesser people. Saturday morning, I think people were probably relaxing a little bit. But on a Sunday morning, I thought most of you would get up much later. But I must congratulate this gentleman from Germany, Roman is his name. He and his 3.5-year-old daughter wakes up every morning at 3:30 just to see our session live. And I'm so grateful, Roman, and I think your daughter's name is Vivian, you said? Please give her my regards. I'm really, really grateful to all of you for joining us this morning. Wish you all a great day ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow on our 20th day for our Facebook Live session. Until then, a great day ahead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.